told some of you, and I told staff, I tried to be a little more brief.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Of course, I just threw that out there.
Senior Center.
Just for the month of December, we haven't included the year-end totals. There's so much. We'll try to do that maybe at the working meeting or whatever. But for the month of December, Township, fire details, we had 18 in the Township, 3 in Addiston, 3 in Cleves, 4 in North Bend. Mutual aid was given 7 times, 6 of those times was canceled en route. EMS details in the Township, we had 101 in the Township. EMS details 14 in Addiston, 33 in Cleves, 9 in North Bend. Mutual aid was received 4 times and given 13 times. Breakdown on the next couple of pages of those, total amount of runs, broken down. Training, you can see the training, what we did there. We got a couple babysitting classes that people have inquired about. We do have a community CPR class coming up on February the 4th. You can go to our Facebook page for information about that. We're going to try to do 4 of those a year, and 1 to 2 of the babysitting classes. The babysitting classes are usually average between 20 and 25 kids for that. Fire investigations, 54 Garinger was investigated by the officers on the scene. Paperwork was filled out, it was closed. It was due to a chimney fire that spread to the roof area. 7958 Secretariat was an outside landscape fire. There was no structural damage, and it was due to Christmas decorations with electric malfunction. We have the 1 open case still, which is the one down in Cleves for the year of 2022. Shelley's working with the insurance company and the coroner's office to try to come up with some things there. We did 4 car seat checks at the station. We did go out to Scarlet Oaks, I told you that. We did the interviews. We had 3 folks from there that come out, plus we had 2 additional ones that came that are actually veteran firefighters. And I would like to hire those folks pending that they finish all their stuff. I'd like to bring it up tonight. I think one of them, we're still waiting on some driving checks, and we're waiting on, one of them had to schedule his physical, and his physical's out. So I'd like to hire him under the contingency that everything passes, we hire them. Their names are, these are for part-time folks. Trey Amend, Benjamin Broering, Benjamin Bossberg, David Lilly, and Joshua Coletta would be the 5. I make the motion, or you guys ask them about it. No, I'll make the motion. Doing good right there. Asking you to make a motion.
Jack, you think you look at your scrutinize any of this? So, if you want, I don't know, it's fine with me. These guys, the thing is, they look at it before we do. So, if you want to scrutinize the documentation of the hiring, is that what you want to scrutinize?
Well, I just, we've looked at hiring attendants and other part-time maintenance and folks pretty closely. And again, I trust you, but we're just hearing about this again, tonight. So I don't know if we can have some paperwork just to look and see what their background is, or what their experience is, or what, if they have a prior fire experience, or if they're right out of the academy, or what, I don't know.
Is Dan Reed involved in any of this?
And the hiring? No.
On hiring, just maybe information wise about potential employees and who they are.
I brought it up
where
here at the
they come
last
from.
meeting, should be in the minutes of the last meeting, when we went out and interviewed, and we were potentially trying to hire someone. So it was in the last meeting.
I know that, but I'm saying,
The individuals and the actual
yeah,
people work for each
they
other.
Dan needs to be involved in, is my opinion, I don't know if the other two trustees feel like that, but in my opinion, he needs to be involved. And not only who we hire through the fire department, whoever we hire throughout the township, he needs to be involved. If he's not in the process, he needs to at least be aware of the process and know
Yeah.
who the individuals are and all the information about them, so at least he can brief us of the situation we're in, which I know we're tight hiring people, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying, we just need, I think Dan needs to be, that's what I'm requesting in the future, that he be involved in this process, and so he can keep the board apprised of the situation.
Give me some guidance, like when you're saying be involved, what do you want, what do you specifically, what do you want out of me?
Well, I want you to communicate to Dan, Mr. Reed, as far as, here's who we're looking at, here's the potential we have,
Okay.
here's who've applied for us, just communicate with them. This is what I'm gonna bring up at the trustees meeting. We've interviewed them, we went through the process, we did this, and this, and this is the candidates.
Okay.
This is the background, this is who they are, this is where they went to school and all that. I think when we are hiring, that's part of the administrator's job. And I'm requesting that he be involved
Okay.
in all future hires.
I didn't know that it was, I don't know.
Basically, Brian told, all the stuff you just said, Brian did do on this. He told
Well,
us,
I'm fine.
he told us some time ago, he's going to the school and interview recent
Right.
graduates.
Right, I
Cause we're so
remember that.
short, we
And-
lost 4 people in a row, including Kaylee last
And
month.
I probably should have spoke up at the last meeting, Brian, and I thought, I guess I assumed that was happening.
Okay.
But if we can just communicate it
I'm fine with that.
and.
I just didn't know,
For
when
the future.
what we're trying to do with is fast, and I've been standing here for a year telling you guys that I don't think I even need to go into, what the issue is we're having. So we've actually spent, how many hours, guys, I mean, you come up and tell what you think, but we've come up with a process to try to get these people in as fast as we can before somebody else hires them. I just don't wanna add to that process because we're already losing, so if it's simple as, hey Dan, this is all the research we've done, here's the applications and the
Right.
stuff.
Well,
We can do that.
I think, I don't know how they're applying, if they're applying in applications or emails or how it is doing, but the process, if you make them aware of the candidates and the background of the applicants, so he can look at them, and so
Okay.
when we look at him as administrator, then he can, not only you, chief, and I'm not taking anything away from you.
No, that's fine.
But I'm just saying, that's part of the reason, a small reason we hired him, we want him to be involved in all this, that's all.
Okay.
That's how I feel about it.
Okay.
We're not trying to add to you to any more duties, I think just an email, I think could be contained in all that information.
Okay.
With each individual, so in the subject line, I'm bringing these up at the meeting, can you look at them and let me know what you think, or
Yeah.
relate to the board that is coming, something.
Yeah. Just, so you guys know, I want you to feel comfortable. I don't want you to, because we've already invested a lot of time and money into these applicants, these 5. We do the references, they file an application, we do a full background check, driver's license check, they go through their physical, all that stuff is done before I bring the names to you. There's one on here that has not done his physical, because he's a younger guy that just got out of school, that we interviewed last month, and we don't allow him to go take any physicals or anything, we spend any money on it until we know that they have their cards and they're basically good to go. So, all that's been done, I'd be more happy to share that with Dan so we can move right along. In fact, can you be there tomorrow, Dave? We'll send, I'm joking, we'll send it over and get voted, I just wanna get it.
Well,
I just feel like, you know, and I, basically Dan articulated everything that I felt and was gonna say. I mean, that's spot on, because I just feel like, again, we're scrutinizing, some of these other hires, and it's even a bigger investment, like you just pointed out, of all the time and energy and money and everything else that we're gonna put into somebody with equipment and all that other stuff. It's even a higher bar. You know, we just wanna make sure that we're making good decisions, and I'm confident we are, but I just wanna make sure we're doing that process, and we have some input from our administrator, and our board has more than just names.
So, I'm suggesting this, that we bring it, we either approve them or we don't on the record, with the contingency that our administrator reviews everything, and whether we approve, if we approve them, then we can go forward with them after he reviews them. If we don't approve them tonight, then still send them to him, and then we can approve them at the next meeting. So I think we can do that and, go forward with this.
you know, just so we understand, part of Jimmy Hughes's job description was that he'd be taking part in the hiring of new employees too. So maybe he needs to get involved with Dan.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I can find job description.
But also, one thing, don't forget that any new employees that we hire, they have a year probation.
That's right.
And we evaluate them
Probation.
as they go through the process and they become, trained in certain fields. And we do an evaluation on them, right, Brian? And we have let people go that didn't make it, so.
Yes,
My only issue is
Okay.
that you're spending a lot of money, even if someone's there for 6 months or 9 months or whatever else. I mean, you're still putting a lot of time in training and all that, trying to train them up, so. And do we know whether all of these 5 are comply with our policy that we passed a couple months ago?
We can review all that, and then if there's a problem, he being Mr. Reed,
Okay.
I think we can, and then he can.
I mean, that's the kind of thing that I would ask, you would say, hey, is this?
What
is this-
policy particularly you worried about? Deficit policy?
Well, that's one of them, but there was a number of issues that were in that included in that policy that everyone, reviewed and passed. So I just think that that's something that, again, if I'm asked, I'm going to look to our administrator and say, hey, have you collaborated with the chief and Mr. Hughes or whoever's, part of that and take a look at this?
Well, we had put them all the way, this group here, the group I'm talking about tonight, we've already put through all that scrutiny. All that's all been done. In fact, we went ahead and set an orientation date out, barring that you would pass them for the 25th. So if we're gonna go beyond that, I gotta call you individuals tomorrow and let them know.
Well, I think Dan made a good point. We should just go ahead and approve them. And then, if Dan Reed has any issues with any of them, with our probation for a year.
And then we can readdress it.
And we can readdress it. With that individual, he'd still be working with the other 4. Cause, we did pass levies saying we put 4 people in each station and we're having a hell of a time with one.
We did have applicants that that Assistant Chief Street and Sissy, we put it out on our Facebook page and we ended up getting a bunch of applications in and unfortunately, a lot of those we had to pass on just because of the references alone. So, I mean, we do scrutinize them at the best that we possibly can,
Well, I make a motion that we go ahead and accept the 5 contingent on, administrator reviewing their documentation and then being in agreement with it.
I'll second.
So that way Brian can move forward with it.
I'll second.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Reiniger?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Under employment, we had Zachary Russ, which was one of our new guys. He's been with us for about 6-7 months. He got a job with Fairfield, and I included his resignation letter, you have that, that's part of that. It's an absolutely wonderful resignation letter. I know we don't, resignation letters aren't supposed to be wonderful, but I thought he did a really, really good job, you know, stating, and, you know, explaining why he's leaving. Patient surveys, Sissy had those patient surveys. I always tell you, you know, we're in like the 97th percentile and excellent service. This month, for December, we didn't have that. We had a bad one. There was one of our patients that thought we took a little too long getting there. Didn't agree with you know, going to one of the hospitals. So we're scrutinizing that particular one. It's under review. We've already pulled the EMS documentation and looked at it. We looked at the run times. You know, she said it was 30 minutes. The actual time to get there was 16 minutes, and that was because the crews were at Station 69 training, and they had to go all the way out to Buck Ridge, where this person lived. The rest of them, out of the rest ones we got, you know, they're all absolutely great. So we've got a system in place. We got a bad one. We're doing everything we can to go through and find out why it was, and I plan on contacting that person when we're done. The last thing I'd like to bring up is we've been on a search to replace our total the engine that was totaled in the accident. I to thank Jim and Joe Yanko and Travis King. We rode all the way up to St. John's, Indiana, which is just outside of Chicago. This truck looked like, I thought we were getting a really nice, gonna be looking at a really nice vehicle. We got up there and it was terrible. The frame was nearly rusted in two in one spot and just had a lot of maintenance issues. So we spent, you know, almost a 16-hour day to look at a piece of equipment that was terrible. That particular one was, they were asking $40,000 for it. So by word of mouth, we found out that Loveland Sims was replacing one of their trucks. They have a 2008 Supplin that only has 51,000 miles on it. We rode out and looked at it. It's a great truck. It's really a fantastic truck. It's got a lot of options on it. It's a custom truck. We're asking a lot more than 40,000. They were asking 120. We negotiated. They accepted, or asked if we asked if they would accept 115,000. They said they would. They're gonna bring it up because they didn't advertise it. It had to go through their legal department. The legal department looked at it. They cleared it and said word of mouth is a way to advertise. And they are reading it into their minutes tonight to sell it to Miami Township for the 115. You know, so we're gonna purchase that truck.
Okay, you need a motion to go ahead and approve the difference between the two, the 41,000 and the 150. Okay, I make a motion, we go ahead and approve it and purchase the truck from Sims.
Second.
Who's second?
Yes,
Who's
second.
second? I'm sorry, I didn't.
That's okay.
Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Reiniger?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
And really, this truck is almost, our oldest truck is what, 2009?
Our oldest truck right now is a 2007. This is a 2008.
This is a 2008, so it's newer truck than our oldest truck.
And it fits your needs as far as.
Yeah, it does. It's everything we need, it's everything we're looking for. I think it's gonna be a really good piece of apparatus for us. Based on our other stuff, I'd say we should very easily for our maintenance, you know, get 10 years out of it at least. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Mr.
I always do, if somebody else does, they can go ahead. You know, I'm full of questions. Something that Jack brought up that I wanted to ask, how far off are we from being at that 4-person per station threshold? I know we're down full-timers, I know we're down part-timers. Where do we need to be? Because that levy was sold to the township residents as we're gonna have 4 people at each station.
Yeah. So
I know we're struggling, I know the manpower's down, everything like that, but I just wanna know where we need to be to hit that threshold to have 4 at each station.
Yeah, that's a good question. We, you know, we that, so we're at 4 personnel at fire headquarters, we're at 3 personnel at station 69 and 3 personnel at station 68. And right now, we're struggling to maintain that level. Today, prime example. So we're struggling to maintain that. We did expand 1 person up here, went to 4 up here for that pass levy. And then part of that pass levy, which, I helped sell that levy, I know we needed it, and, was to add more full-time staffing, which we did. We, expanded our full-time staff from 15 individuals when we do this next hiring, will be 24. So, we did do that. But as far as going to 4 personnel per station, I can't think that far out right now, Jason, because we're struggling to fill the staffing levels we have now. So I can't, we lived in a different world where we had enough, we had a hiring process that had an abundance of people to come in, we could probably manage that goal. Right now, in the near future, I don't see us doing that for a little bit.
Then my other question is, I'm in that Buck Ridge neighborhood as well. What's a normal response time for the 70s if they're out, or even the 68s that come up that far? Cause it seems like it's 11.
The normal response time for us from here, from station 70 is 9 to 12 minutes is normal. So we added an additional, 4 or 5 minutes coming from station 69 for, like I said, they were down there doing training. And we're looking, that subdivision out there is one right now we're looking at because there's other issues going on out there, so we're trying to figure things out there. But yeah, that's something that expansion, moves us farther away from our station. The NFPA has guidelines on how many people we have per staffing and how many, where the station should be located in accordance with where folks live, population. We're just inside that threshold with the addition of the Buck Ridge subdivision out there, barely inside that.
That's one of the things that the board in the future got to start looking at, some type of satellite station out there for at least a medic and a chase car to respond, and just have 2 people there to get to the situation until the rest of the guys can show up. But that's if you think about it, there's not many lots out there you could buy. The lot at the bottom of the hill at Pickaway and Gallia is a possibility, but the problem there is that's bought with collaboration of Green Township. We don't have a whole lot of land down there.
I can rent you a room in the garage.
We just gotta find a place to put even take the station in Addison, the old station in Addison, I don't know. There's something that can get you up there.
Yeah, I understand you guys are working on it. I just, not trying to put Brian on the spot, I just.
There's something that needs to be done.
Feeling it out.
Hey, you
Because
live
we
out
are
there,
or
right?
not, we're way the hell out there.
The station's already there, but the problem is we have to buy that part of land, because we can't do nothing. We can't spend money on property that's not ours.
Yeah, thank you.
I just have one thing, I wanna say thank you for the response that you came to my house 2 weeks ago. It was very professional. It was 20 after 5 in the morning when I had a serious incident. Luckily, it didn't turn into a real serious incident.
Yeah, that's true.
Response time was good, firefighters were professional. They did everything in their power to check my complete house to see where the issue was. He came personally from his house before he went anywhere. There was a guy in my kitchen tapped me on my shoulder at 5:45, and it was Chief Lacey. So thank you very much, it all turned out good.
I tried to get in touch with you, I tried to call you.
I called you back, but
Why,
anyway.
get you
It all turned out good, but you don't really realize how bad you need the fire department till you need it.
Yeah.
And when your castle's going down, it's a big deal, and I live in a tough place where it's hard to get to.
Right.
It's not easy to get to, and once you get there, it's hard to get back out. They did an exceptional job, they didn't even touch the grass with the truck when they left the residence. And I was just totally pleased. And the outcome turned out, so I don't know if you even have an open investigation on my place. It was
I'll
my
wait to
error.
hear back from you.
It was
I
my
know you
error.
had sent your range off, so I was.
It came back from Gen Air, it came back from everybody that my house was completely tested from propane tank all the way to every appliance. It held test for 15 minutes. They checked the regulator going into the house, it held. Somehow, some way, the propane was left on the stove and I never smelt it, and I was up from 4 to 5:20. And they're saying it was my problem, and when I turned it on, it exploded. Exploded right in my face and blew up off the island. There was never a flash, and I was lucky there was never a fire, but what I'm saying is the response, when you guys came, you seen how I was a
Yeah.
nervous wreck.
Yeah.
I built the place and I didn't wanna see it burn down.
Right, a lot of- so
But
bad.
tell you, everybody down there, thank you.
No?
That's awesome. Thanks for telling us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything? You guys have anything else?
You didn't make it, Brian.